Hey, welcome to Two Doctors Homestead. My name's Daniel, and it's a beautiful day out here in Texas, and we're getting ready for the end of the year. 2024 is about to start. I should thank everybody, all our viewers, subscribers, everyone that's been watching the channel. We really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun making the videos, and we're going to continue to do that in 2024. But what to expect? What to expect from 2024? What should not surprise you if it happens, and things you should be preparing for, and hopefully you're prepared for already. So what to expect from 2024? First item on my list on my bingo card is wars. Now, we already have wars, right? There's already wars going on between Ukraine and Russia. There's already wars going on between Israel and Hamas. Well, those aren't probably going to end anytime soon. So more wars. The wars we've already got, more participation, more involvement of the United States. Certainly possible. Hard to imagine not things happening, maybe more wars breaking out. But war is certainly here to stay. It was a big part of 2023, and it will continue to be so in 2024. That's just the reality, right? More wars. Next one, what about Civil War? Civil War, we'll see if the censors like that. Well, the movie's coming out. Movie's coming out next year. If you're curious about Civil War, certainly check out the movie when it happens. But on a more serious note on that, if you look at the article, The Surprisingly Solid Mathematical Case of the Tinfoil Hat Gun Prepper, it's a great article. I've read it many times. I've shared it with a lot of people. There's a 37% chance that any American of average life expectancy will experience at least one violent nationwide revolution. Now, that hasn't happened in a while, but when you use hydrology math and whatnot, the article lays it all out. 37% chance. That's more than zero in your lifetime. So it is certainly a statistical possibility beyond the movie that's coming out next year. Pandemic, well, is the last one over? Was the last one? I don't know, right, guys? I don't know on pandemic. Certainly we keep hearing about new things, new viruses, new variations, new mutations. So will we see more pandemic, more people talking about pandemic next year? Sure. I don't know on that one, right? It's always a possibility that a new strain could be discovered, could spread amongst the population. Some pandemics are more worrisome than others, have a higher lethality rate. There's a lot of stuff floating around there. So I think it is only a matter of a time before we start talking about the next pandemic, what it's going to be, what it's going to look like, which leads to lockdowns. Are we going to see lockdowns in 2024? Certainly possible, given pandemics are possible, lockdowns are possible. There's a lot of reasons we might see lockdowns coming back. Nefarious or not, right? Certainly is possible in 2024. Don't be surprised if we see lockdowns. Cyber attacks, well, always. There's a big movie that just came out that showed a cyber attack shutting everything down, and that is always a possibility, right? We're seeing more cyber attack activity, more nation-state cyber attack activity, so that is certainly possible in 2024 that we will see more fallout from cyber attacks, whether it creates other items on this list, whether it creates disruption. Certainly possible, something you should almost expect in 2024 because there's always cyber attacks. Civil unrest, well, we're seeing it now, right? There's protests, there's road closures, all that kind of stuff is always going on. Certainly it seems like, and it is an election year, so even if everything was perfect right now, we know going into an election year that civil unrest is almost guaranteed. To what extent, we don't know, right? We'll have to see what happens. Economic issues, well, still ongoing, right? I think we're not out of the weeds yet, out of the water yet on that, whatever fancy saying you want to use. They're talking about issues in the housing market. You see some weird economic indicators of gold going up while the stock market's going up, which doesn't normally happen. So certainly a possibility of economic issues going into next year. That has to be on the list. Terrorist attacks, well, Homeland Security certainly says it's possible. I mentioned that in a video before, and you can certainly see that on the news in that they talk about that. The board is red. There are potential for terrorist activity from anywhere across the board, right? So how much we've seen in 2023 seems to be debatable, but it's certainly possible going forward. So it is something you should have on your list, something you should have in mind, and perhaps not be entirely surprised if there's some terrorist activity next year, right? Something huge, unfortunately. As much as we wouldn't ever want something like that to happen, it is certainly a possibility going into 2024. Major grid down or significant supply chain issues, well, pretty much any of the lists, any items on the list I just gave you could lead to things like grid down or could lead to significant supply chain issues, whether it's more wars, expanding wars, civil war, maybe not the movie, pandemics, lockdown, cyber attacks, civil unrest, economic issues, terrorist attack, any of those could lead into major grid down situations, significant supply chain issues, anything like that. It certainly has to be on the board, on the list, on your bingo card going into 2024, right? Caused by any of those or something else, right? Whether it's technical issues, who knows, right? Who knows on that? But it is possible. So what can you do? We don't want to be all doom and gloom. Certainly enjoy your holidays. Enjoy your Christmas. Merry Christmas to everyone. Hopefully you're taking an opportunity of things like Christmas sales, right? Look at Black Friday sales. Look at Christmas sales. There's still sale options to boost up your preps a little bit. There's a lot of stuff. Keep an eye on places like Amazon. And we actually have an Amazon store where we try to list out items we show in the videos. So check it out. We are an Amazon affiliate, so we do get some small amount of compensation if you buy from the store. But check it out, or not, right? Check out Amazon. Look for sales right now. Now's a good time to stock up on your preps. What can you do? Food stockpiles. Certainly any of those situations could create a disruption where you may not be able to go to the grocery store and get the stuff you're used to getting. So we always push to have a deep pantry, a rotational pantry. Obviously, the general advice is buy the stuff you eat and rotate so you don't have some massive supply of food going bad on you. But there's a lot of stuff you can do in your pantry, short-term, mid-term, long-term pantry. We did the trip to the LDS store, and we're probably going to do another one, to be honest. It's a lot of great long-term food storage options there that are very affordable. Shelter, so this one was kind of fun. Shelter exists away from the zombies, right? So some level of isolation, some level of shelter. It looks like there was a blackout in, I think it's New Jersey just hit, but you're going to want to get away somewhere. If you're in a major city, if you're in a dense population environment, you might want to think about what's a bug out plan look like. Where can you go that's a little bit less crowded, right? Always in those situations, your biggest challenge is going to be other people, whether other people are doing something nefarious or whether they're just looking for food or they're in the way, right? You're competing for limited resources potentially. So going somewhere where there aren't as many people is always going to be a good idea. Access to clean water or cleanable water, either one is great. If you have clean water, if you have water stored, highly recommended. Gallon per day per person is the general rule. Even the water bags that go in your bathtub, something like that. In any kind of a disaster, any kind of situation like that, certainly water has to be one of your top, right? Really, even before food, though I didn't mention it before food. You will dehydrate if you don't have water, and you will not survive very long. You can live longer without food than water. Shelter, substance agriculture. That's great, right? We have our garden, highly recommended garden. I know it may not be practical for everyone if you're in an apartment, if you're in a city, if you don't have land. Some areas land is very expensive, but having the ability to grow food, produce your own food, livestock, any kind of level of sustainability or detachment from the food chain or the food supply chain is good. That's good to have. Medical supplies, certainly medical supplies, right? Any kind of situation, whether it's you get sick and you have some emergency medication like a JACE or contingency medical, any kind of first aid stuff, if you get cut or worse, medical supplies are important to have. And it's better to have them before you have a situation where you need them, right? If you're bleeding out, it's not a good time to say, let's go to Target. So even if none of these major things happen, you should still have medical supplies available. It's just a good idea. Self-defense, well, defend yourself, right? I mean, that certainly could be something. You want to follow the laws of the area. Don't end up in a situation where you're breaking the laws. That could come back to haunt you, but self-defense is certainly important to have. And as we talked about, some way to escape, some way to bug out if you're in a situation, or really, even for us, we got cross bug out deals with some of our friends, so some way to bug out is always a good idea. So as always, not trying to be grim, right? That's just looking at some of the things that could happen in 2024 and perhaps having that list has a couple purposes, right? You might be less surprised, less likely to panic when one of these things happen. It might motivate you to be a little more prepared. We always say prepare, not fear, right? If you're ready for something, there's less reason to panic, right, when things go bad, and we all want to have less panic. So I was going to close out before, as always, thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.